Hello there, and welcome to Gran Turismo Live. We are here. It is the climax of the first ever FIA Gran Turismo Championships held here in 2018. 4 months of competition split into 3 seasons. And here we are, the 10th and final round of Season 3 for the European, Middle Eastern and African region. It is go time. Final big points on offer. And we're going to be helping take you through it. I'm James Kirk, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. Jimmy Broadbent. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Good to be here yet again for another Superstar broadcast. And I've got to say, it's quite odd actually being here. This is our last time together, James. It's very hard to imagine that we'd be here when I first started doing these broadcasts. We're all coming to a head now. This is where it all gets very exciting. Very exciting indeed.
I hope you are as excited as we are. If for some weird reason this is your first broadcast, though, let us take you through what the championship is all about. Jimmy, it's over to you.
My pleasure. So, there are 2 competitions in the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships. The Nations Cup, which we'll be doing first, is the race we're about to see. It's about competing to represent your country at regional and then the World Finals. The Manufacturer Series sees our competitors racing on behalf of their chosen manufacturer. Now, coming up is the European, Middle East and Africa Region Nations Cup race, but the same events are happening in parallel for the Asia, Oceania and the Americas region, and you'll be able to find those links to those races on gran-turismo.com or on the official Gran Turismo YouTube page. Each of the 3 regions will host their own live regional finals. These are physical events where all the players will come together over the course of October, and then we'll have the World Finals in November. In the Nations Cup, the top 30 racers from each region will be invited to their regional final. Worth noting that for the EMEA region, there will only be a maximum of 3 players per country allowed. From regional finals, 10 players from each region will make it through to the World Finals, making 30 Nations Cup competitors in total from around the world. The winners of both Nations Cup and Manufacturer Series, the first ever FIA Gran Turismo Championships, will then be invited to head to the FIA Gala Awards Dinner in St. Petersburg in December.
Now, speaking of those regionals, we might have a little sneaky bit of information to share with you at the end of the broadcast. But in the meantime, let's catch you up. So, last week we had another top 24 Superstars Nations Cup race. In between then and now, which is Saturday on recording, the Wednesday held round 9, just a regular round where points were accumulated. And we've been talking about points, about the whole, totting up of things, and with the Nations Cup being able to be in the top 3 of each nation to get through to the regionals. Well, the way it works is the best 5 results from the season overall are taken into account, and that is then the total points number, which is taken at the end of, which will be today, round 10. Speaking of, let's take a little look at the current top 24 in the EMEA region going into this round.
So you can see, it is last week's winner, GTP Adam, currently heading the standings with a clear lead, over 2,000 points lead from his next closest competitor, TRL Fiveros. Then, things get a bit closer. We have RC Afo, only a couple of 100 points behind Fiveros, and a couple of 100 points behind him is Williams Coque 14, the Spaniard. We then have TRL Manu Rodri. He is in 5th position with 13,999, very close to the 14,000 mark there. We also have RC Snake 91, the Frenchman, in 6th. RC Zocchi 88 in 7th, with Yomus 74 in 8th. Worth noting that there are 3 Frenchmen there in the top 8, so very fierce competition for the French guys at the moment. Then going down to our second page, we have GTA Tichney in 9th position. He's always been there or thereabouts. It's actually very close between about 5th place and down to 9th place. Tichney on 13,738 points. TRL Lightning, last season's winner of the Nations Cup, is in 10th position with 13,466. Then we go down to Giorgio 57. Done a great job getting up to that place in the standings there, currently in 11th position. Then we have Alexoni 94 in 12th position, the Spaniard, followed by Matu 79. We go down to 14th and see VP Beloff 956. He's on 12,775 points, with Ruffle Waffle pretty much unchanged, still in 15th position, and RC Mura rounding out the top 16. And then our last page, 16th down to 24, we have Kai 25 there, one of our Brits, followed by another Brit, McLaren 6. The gap between them only 2 points, which is absolutely nothing in Gran Turismo Sport terms. We then have Mr. Erosian Fat, the Portuguese driver, from in 19th position, with Derek 737, our last time out manufacturer winner, in 20th position. Matty 278 is in 21st, with Maffeo Colin, 22nd, the Belgian driver. Then we have a TX3 Adam, in 23rd, and rounding up the top 24 is Force Uwerby. Just worth noting that there are a lot of UK flags in there. The UK is actually the most represented nation in the top 30 with 9 drivers, and only 3 will be invited to the regional final. So very tough competition for the UK guys there.
Now, we would love to tell you definitively at the end of tonight who's going to be going through to the regional finals. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because apart from the top 24 Superstars race going on tonight, which we're going to be showing you, there's also other races going on in the EMEA region, just regular races where points are still accumulated. So, at the end of tonight, Polyphony goes to those top guys who've earned the most amount of points, regardless of whether they've competed in regular races or top 24 Superstars. They asked them about their eligibility to go abroad. They asked them about their availability, whether they can do the races. And if they are all good, then of course we have our 30 EMEA finalists. Speaking of, again, go to gran-turismo.com or go in-game to GT Sport, and when the information is out there, you'll be able to access it. It's as simple as that. But one guy who I think it's fair to say we would expect to see in the EMEA regional finals is a Nations Cup points leader, GTP Adam. We've seen him take back-to-back victories in the last 2 weeks for the top 24 Superstars races. And Jimmy here, he's been getting to know him very well. Here he is with another interview of our Nations Cup points leader. It's surely one of the forces to look forward to going into the regionals. It is Adam.
So I am joined yet again by GTP Adam, who finds himself on the top step of the podium. We're getting used to these conversations, Adam. We're going to be best of friends soon, I think.
Yeah, it's great to come out of the win tonight. I didn't really expect it with the amount of practice some of the other guys have put in, but yeah, I think taking pole position really helped me out with the race.
I mean, you say you didn't expect it, yet you won by about 10 seconds. James and I were speaking about strategy. We had you pegged for a 1-stop, and then you made us all look silly and had a 2-stop. And what happened there?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was always going to go for the 1-stopper, so I pitted on lap 5, and then accidentally only put in 2 laps of fuel. So
that was an accident?
Yeah, I didn't actually mean to do that.
So GTP Adam, interestingly, actually comes out in the lead of this race, 3 seconds clear of Yomas on a 2-stop.
I had to pit again on lap 7. And I thought at that point, like a 1-stopper might jump me in the pits, but I came out, I think, 9 seconds ahead. So fortunately, the mistake didn't cost me too much.
So you are the leader, and now the quite convincing leader of the Nations Cup at the moment. How does that make you feel? I mean, again, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago where you were saying you were umming and ahhing about taking part, and now here you are, frankly, dominating at the top of the table.
I didn't expect to get 2 wins on the bounce, especially in the top 24, so honestly didn't expect that. So to be in that position, it's great. I'm obviously not focused on manufacturers, so I can put all my time and effort into the Nations. A lot of them are faster than me in practice, so it's just putting it together on the race day, I think.
Well, you certainly showed the guys just how quick you are today in the Nations Cup race. Thank you very much, GTP Adam, and again, congratulations for another Superstar race victory.
Thanks, Jimmy. Cheers.
Tell you what, nice guy there, Adam.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit peeved to hear that he made us all call silly of his strategy there. But I mean, it just shows the dominance he's been showing recently, where he can make that mistake and then still come back and have that demanding a victory. It also just goes to show what happens when he devotes himself to something. Because I say in the interview that he was not really sure he wanted to take part in this. And he went, "Yep, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put full focus into this, and look at the results. He's now 2,000 points clear at the top of the table."
Regardless of whether it was a mistake or not, it was still brilliant. Like he pretty much guaranteed himself a victory, but he has a chance tonight to make it 3 wins on the bounce in the Nations Cup. That said, he's got to tame one of the most legendary circuits of them all. Jimmy, why don't you inform our viewers about what it is?
Well, you said it for me. The legendary Circuit de la Sarthe. Now, so very exciting to be back here again. Very familiar to all you Gran Turismo gamers and motorsport fans, I'm sure. Home of the world-famous Le Mans 24 Hours. We'll be in Group 1 cars here today, so that's the equivalent of the LMP1 prototypes that race at Le Mans. And we actually have a very cool little video the guys over Japan have sent us. So let's take a look at that now. So the Circuit de la Sarthe, situated in the northwest of France. I've been very lucky to go there myself, actually, and get to experience this awesome circuit. Just over 13.6 kilometers in length. The circuit in Gran Turismo is split into 7 sectors. Important to master all of them if you're going to put in a decent lap time. Lots of memorable corners here, of course. The Tete Rouge, a very important corner for run down the straight. Then Arnage, the slowest corner on the circuit. Then through the Porsche curves, some of the most tricky you're going to find anywhere in motorsport. Elevation change round here, not too big, exaggerated for our map, of course. 37.3 is the highest point versus lower point. It's just one of those circuits that our superstars are going to have to master if they're going to be progressing any further in this competition.
I'll tell you what, while we are on a video roll, let's have a quick little look, a quick refresher at the cars that we are going to be seeing tonight in the Nations Cup. It's Group 1.
The top category of cars in Gran Turismo is the Group 1 class. These are cars which are typically called prototypes in the real world of racing. With a body that achieves low air resistance and high downforce, the cars weigh in at around 900 kilograms and produce over 1,000 horsepower. These machines exhibit an incredible level of speed, both on the straights and in the corners. Not only that, as true endurance races, they are made easy to drive to allow long hours of driving without stress. Cars that competed in the famed Le Mans 24-hour race, including the Audi R18, the Toyota TS030, and Peugeot 908, as well as concept car-based models such as the Mazda LM55 Vision Gran Turismo and the SRT Tomahawk Vision Gran Turismo belong in this Group 1 class.
So as ever, we will have 15 minutes of qualifying, and then we're into an 8-lap race. The modifiers for tonight are going to be fuel consumption at times 4 and tyre wear at times 8. It is going to be a rolling start, and so fingers crossed, the lads are going to be nice and clean going into turns 1 and 2. Jimmy, in the last couple of weeks, we've seemed to have seen pit stop strategy take on a larger role in races. How important is it going to be coming into tonight?
Well, as you know, James, a pit strategy can make or break a good race. We expect one of 2 strategies tonight. You can see on the screen right now. This is for the 1 stop. We may be lapping and stopping around lap 3 to 5. However, in the Asia Oceania race, we actually saw someone do a no stop, so didn't stop at all during the race. Extreme fuel saving and tyre conservation. They actually won. So it's going to be very interesting to see which strategy comes out superior in this EMEA region.
One person though, Jimmy, honestly, like I don't see anything else happening apart from the ones, especially from what the drivers have told me. I think it's going to literally be a 1 stop. We're going to find out anyway. Qualifying just about to begin, so let's head on over into the game and call the action for you. Qualifying, it presents the same challenge as always. 15 minutes on the clock to set your fastest time. And first out of the garage will be Tidgney, who will have a lot to do, certainly tonight, to ensure that he confirms his spot at the regionals.
Yeah, in the 908 HCI. One of my favourite cars from that era of racing, of course, very popular for racing at Le Mans, as a lot of these cars are. But we have a mix of real-life cars and concept cars in here. It's sort of one of the things I actually like about Gran Turismo. These very weird imaginings coming into the game. Of course, a good example of that is the L650R, which you're actually seeing coming down the straight in the foreground now, being overtaken by the other cars. Some of the guys just opting to pull over to the right there just to get a bit of free space and get a nice qualifying lap in. Of course, very long lap around here. We're looking at above 3 minutes, so getting a perfect lap together is firstly about getting a bit of clear track, maybe getting a bit of slipstream on the way around, and secondly about keeping on the inside of the curbs.
Now it's worth going over again. Thank you so much for your feedback. You may have noticed the lovely new penalty graphics. We received a lot of good words about those. And so as we continue to improve the Gran Turismo broadcast experience, we thank you all for your patience, for your lovely feedback, for your kind words. And we hope that this final round then, remember, this is the last round of league play, essentially, that we're looking at here, delivers, and certainly with Le Mans, Jimmy, I'm looking at those long back straights with the two little chicanes in the middle as major points, not just in the race, where of course we're going to be seeing a lot of overtaking, but in qualifying as well, because there are some cheeky drivers out there who are going to be looking at slipstreaming opportunities. If they're able to come out ahead when it comes to that heavy braking zone, which both Beloff and Zocchi88 have just gone through there, they will have gained so much time through getting up to speed so much quicker, and all of a sudden they've provided the guy that they've just overtaken with a small problem of being, looking at the rear of their car. It's almost a qualifier ruiner for some and a qualifying maker for others.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, qualifying around here, because you sort of want to have enough slipstream. For example, TX3, be like, oh great, got a slipstream here coming up to the Porsche curves, but then of course having a slipstream is going to start catching the guy in front, then going through the Porsche curves to encounter what we call dirty air, so you're going to end up having a slower run through the curve. So it's up and down in that aspect. Just to very quickly go back to what you said about graphics and feedback, I would like to, now this is of course our final broadcast here for these guys, I'd like to extend a personal thank you to the guys over at GTP, Gran Turismo Planet. They helped us out a lot. A lot of information about all the cars, etc. Everyone's very friendly over there, and just the community as a whole in GT seems to be very forthcoming with information, and it's just a very nice place to be. So cheers guys, you're making this broadcast even better as we see some of the guys coming to the pits now straight away. I wonder if that's just to come in, get a new set of tyres, not refuel. Let's have a look at the fueling here. Could we get an idea of what fuel goes in? Maybe that is the strat around here. We usually see in qualifying people go around for a couple of laps and set their fastest lap on the second or third. But now we're seeing a lot of people coming in. This is new to us here. My thinking is we're going to see possibly a change of tyres and that's it. Let's have a look, shall we?
That's over half of the field coming into the pits. It's an interesting strategy, certainly. But I'm thinking back to a week ago from Saint Croix, actually, which was similarly in regards to the type of car being used to the length of track, a long circuit to try and complete a lap on. It's cutting it close because you only have 15 minutes to set yourself a lap time, of which 5 is already up. And you look at someone like Adam there, who's going to go out of track limits. I saw a number of penalties popping up. They can't afford to do it. In fact, there it is, 0.6 seconds. They can't afford to do that when every one of these laps counts.
Definitely, but in this case for Adam, that's just his out lap, so he's looking to get round as fast as possible. These guys are sort of taking the lap a bit differently as they would for their flying lap. Here is GTP Adam, our current Nations Cup point leader, in the sole R18 in the field, well, the modern R18 anyway.
Representing.
Represent, of course, the 2016 car. Bit of a decisive car, that one. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm one of the camp that like it quite a bit. So, of course, interested to see how that compares to the L750s we've got here, which seem to be the majority of the field. Now, of course, being a Nations Cup race, the drivers are free to choose their own car for this event. There's no restrictions there at all. So we're seeing a lot of people go for the L750. That seems to be the popular choice. Also seeing a lot of 908s as well in there. The 908 back from 2010. And, of course, a couple of R18s as well. So a good mix of cars in here this week.
I'm slightly biased towards concept cars. I am going to be very honest with the audience. I am going to be very honest with you, Jimmy. They just look so cool. Like, regardless of how well it drives or not, I want to look good when I'm going out on track, and so I understand that choice, even just on a preference of how your car looks front, very much so. 9 minutes left of qualifying. I think this must be the first time in all 3 seasons, Jimmy, where we've not seen a qualifying lap on the board within the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of the strategy and of the circuit, of course. We've seen some people come in to get a fresh set of boots to go out for a quick lap. TX3 Adam will be, I think, the first person to come in. Actually, what I'm wondering if he'll come in again and then go for another out lap and then have focus it all one flying lap at the end. Of course, bear in mind these guys have both tyre and fuel multipliers on. So the tyre wear is more than it would usually be, as with the fuel as well. So trying to maybe get rid of that little bit more fuel and have a lighter car around the circuit. The lighter car is going to make a massive, massive difference on the straights, because you're going to get up to speed a lot quicker, going to be able to slow down a lot quicker for the chicanes as well. So I wonder if we'll see that. Well, TX3 Adam is leading on track, so he'll be our guinea pig, so to speak. If he dives to the pit lane, we know that's what he's doing. If not, then we're going to see our first attempt at a hot lap.
Yeah, just coming through the Corvette curves now and towards the end of the circuit. 38 turns this track has. It looks deceivingly simple, but it's because it's so large that you don't get to see those little nuances. And indeed, Adam just slowing before going through the Ford chicane and winding it up for a hot lap. It's a relatively simple start to the circuit as opposed to the end, and Adam will be hoping that this first counts through the Dunlop curve then and into the Dunlop chicane. In fact, yeah, Adam actually has set a best lap there, so
yeah, it counts. Yeah, he crossed the line before already, and also served his penalty as well. So the time is there. That's nowhere near the time we're going to see for the pole round here.
No.
Here is Zocchi 88. Is being followed by Beloff behind, both in the L750Rs. Interesting to see the amount of different liveries on there. Some more times coming in. Again, these are more outlap times, not the times we expect to see before the end. Coming through with the Forest S's, we were anyway. Now we're looking at a car in the pit lane. 908 ACI, this one, in the old livery. One of the diesel cars, of course. We saw a bit of a diesel revolution at Le Mans back in the late 2010s and around that era, and of course with Audi as well, running a diesel all the way until it was canned in 2016. Really great to see those cars being represented here. Here's TX3 Adam through the first of the Mulsanne chicanes. Exit is so important on these chicanes, because any time you lose coming out of a chicane, and maybe oversteer or maybe just a bit of a sloppy entrance, you lose that time all the way down the straight, because you're just carrying that mistake all the way with you. So we're with TX3 Adam. He's going to pull to the right-hand side of the circuit now. Try and spot his braking marker on the right amidst all the trees here. They're just above the circuit. There's the 300. There's the 100 on the anchors. Brings it to the inside. Watch him just go between these curbs here. Bit tight on that right curb. Try and straight line it as much as possible on exit. Nice and clean through there. So currently, he's actually around the same speed as his outlap. The outlap did actually have a cut though. So yes, a good lap so far, but still has another couple of sectors to get through.
It was 6/10 that he picked up off the top of my head on the exit of one of those turns into the Mulsanne. And it's again one of those parts of the circuit where you are going to have a little bit of opportunity to overtake perhaps, although because of the ever winding in nature, it does make it more difficult as you reach that crucial braking point out and through this exit here down the forest into Indianapolis and Onage. Very tight and banked left-hander followed by and banked right-hander. You got that little deceiving sweep as well there, Jimmy. So crucial. Again, another crucial part on this track to nail, and I think that's one of the greatest elements of the Circuit de la Sarthe is, okay, the corner complexes aren't the most tricky or aren't the most unique throughout the world, but it's how many of those sections you need to nail to be able to get the lap right, which is what makes this circuit so much of a challenge, especially considering its length. You're only going to be losing time hand over fists in these middle sections where you don't really have to do anything except put your pedal to the metal.
It's all about carrying speed, and speaking of carrying speed, we're with Zocchi 88 for the Porsche curves, my favourite part of the circuit. Look at it, throw it to the inside, 230 k's there on the apex, and back to the left, run it nice and close to the wall. Depends how brave you're feeling, really. See the downforce of these cars now really coming into play. all the way over to the right for this last, a little bit over a crest off camber there. It's a bit of a deceiving corner. And yes, it's still going now, nice and smooth through here, just waiting now for the last couple of chicanes. This is where laps are made or lost. TX3 Adam does a 3:23, improving a little bit here. What's Lockett? Oh, he's a bit slow into the chicane there. Gets a little bit enthusiastic on the brakes. Comes across the line. Would it have been improvement at the time? 3:23 and a 3:23.2. So 23 seems to be the benchmark at the moment.
So we've got 4 minutes of qualifying remaining. And still the major times to come through. Adam with a 3:22.471. Garassa 91 with a 3:22.281. Starting to slowly but surely bring those times down. I reckon if someone wants to nail a 3:21 at this point, Jimmy, they'd probably be guaranteeing themselves a top 5 start.
Indeed, and great to see a couple of new names in here, even this late in the competition. Just goes to show people are still fighting for those last few places. Here comes Servanesca, the Portuguese entry. How will he do? He improves up to 5th position. Nice time there.
Well, that was Alexany, wasn't it?
Very close. Oh, so that's Alexany, sorry. That was actually behind him. Apologies.
Seven take it down there in P15,
yeah, he's still
P15.
There you go. Nice spot there. Just Alexany just sneaking through in the background. He would have got a bit of a draft actually coming out there.
Yeah.
But now he's going to be behind coming down the Forest S's. And again, when you're driving these cars, it's one big flowing circuit. It all feels very nice and very, I don't know what the word is, productive. It's a productive lap. And then you end up getting to the first chicane, like, oh no, I've got a brake now. Big hev on the brakes and go from there. So TRL Fiveros, sorry, in the background, as you said, comes in with the 3:21.8, so improving, big improvement there. 4 tenths now to the nearest driver in second place. That's Garassa 91.
I noticed Lightning going in there 3:22.5. Didn't have the best of times last time, at least last time on broadcast in St. Clair. He started near the back of the grid, and actually it was quite fun watching his journey up the order. But I think as any fast racing driver, especially a racing driver of Lightning's talent would say, they'd rather be starting up at the front where they can battle for the biggest points, even though in the case of the Nations Cup, Lightning is actually the lead of the Germans.
So we only have 2 minutes left now of qualifying. So if you're not on a lap right now, you don't really have a chance of completing it. You can see on your mini-map there on the top right of your screen.
Together, aren't they?
Yep, that's where they all need to be. If you are any further back on, I think, the last arrow on our mini-map, then you don't really have a chance of finishing your lap. Here is Matu79 being chased by Nacini. Behind him, again, playing a bit of the slipstream game at the moment. These guys all have penalties, though, so these laps aren't going to count. In front of them, we have RC Atho, just ahead at the moment. He still needs to sell a lap to get him out of 16th position. 16th isn't really the ideal place to start. A couple of big names you haven't seen a good lap from yet. So of course, TRL Manu Rodri. We're used to seeing him a bit further up the field as well. Actually 5th currently in the Nations Cup ranking, so he won't be too happy with being P18 and with a penalty, so that probably means that's about where he's going to finish at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his compatriot as well, Colque, not even set a lap yet, down in P23. Currently the leading Spaniard in the Nations Cup, just 1 place ahead of Manu Rodri in P1. For these guys with small penalties, I don't think that's too damaging. 0.7, 0.3. It's worth completing the lap just to see whether they can't get a small improvement there, but of course it does damage their overall chances of trying to take pole position. A provisional pole position, by the way, which for Fiveros is looking more and more likely. Popsu there. TX3 teammate to Adam, currently in 10th, goes P9. Adam there goes up to P2. He gets into the 3:21s, but not able to beat him. Garassa 91 does, though. The Italian moves his way up the order, goes a 10th clear of Fiveros. I thought that pole position was done and dusted. Garassa said, no, I don't mind that I'm not one of the more popular names here. I'm just going to go and do that anyway. Yomas up into P8. Manu Rodri, better lap, up into P7. Win Steve there, the Belgian, up to P16. Azorian Fat, that's actually a really decent effort from the Portuguese driver who's been a little bit middling form recently. Atho P12. Matu, despite that penalty, goes up to people. That was like 7/10 or something, so he would have well been up in the chances of taking pole position had he not had it. As it stood, though, he did, and it means that Garassa 91, Jimmy, takes pole position at Le Mans. That is, quite frankly, a brilliant effort, especially to beat out Fiveros. P2 in the point standings.
Yeah, relatively unknown driver there, of course, in one of the Peugeots, in the Peugeot-dominated field. We have to again give special mention to GTP Adam for dragging that R18 up the order. Great effort by him, of course. What I didn't see, we do actually have a Toyota in the field as well, with Pumpunku down in 19th position. But yeah, a relatively unknown name, top of the field, so maybe not being the best season for him so far, but a nice way to round it off by being pole in the last Nations Cup Superstar race.
Absolutely, of which we will be heading through to said race very shortly. Indeed, it is a field full of Peugeots, but will there be a surprise to be had? Adam, we learned after the Nations Cup race last time out that he actually made a mistake in winning. We were like, oh, brilliant strategy call on the fly. No, it was a mistake. He is the danger man to look for in these races. A danger man that has always got to be considered here in the Nations Cup. This is the final round, the final season of this brilliant FIA certified Gran Turismo Championship here in the EMEA region. Of course, we've actually still got the Americas still to come. But a last chance to get some big bonus points on the board for these guys. Remember, it's only the top 3 from each country that qualify. How many times have we seen final before? This is the finale for these guys. And let us now take you through your grid for this final Nations Cup race in the EMEA region. A very futuristic looking front row. Maybe a star for the future. Grassa 91, the Italian, on pole position, with Varos, the Hungarian, alongside him there in P2. It is then our points leader, Adam, in the Audi R18, lining up P3. And alongside him, he's surrounded by the future, Matu 79. He could have been in with a chance of pole had it not been for that penalty. Lightning, good to see him back up the order in the Peugeot 908. The German joined by his compatriot, Beloff 956 in the more futuristic L75R. Manu Rodri then in another one of those VGTs, P7, and he is joined by Azorian Fat, the Portuguese driver, in P8. P9 then, it's Yomas 74, the Frenchman, repping the Peugeot, and rounding out our top 10, it is Alexini 94, the Spaniard, in another of those 908s. P11, we go back to our first of the Brits, Zocchi 88, looking good for him, ahead of Atho, the Frenchman, P12. Of course, the Frenchies driving at their home circuit, so maybe a little bit of pride on the line. Popsu, the pole driver, we've not seen him too often. He's going to be there in P13 with Adam 18, all the way back in P14 for Hungary. We then have Boka Sinsu, another one of those guys that we've not seen too often, there in P15. And then P16, we have the second of the Brits, Tijni. P7, we have Wind Steve, so the Belgians coming in full force here. And P18, we find Kenny 3390 in another of those Peugeot 908s. Rounding out the top 20, we have Papanku in the lone Toyota on the field. Good to see the Portuguese driver repping that particular manufacturer. And then Nucini 95, the Austrian, currently P20. Stefan Seika, Portuguese driver, down there in P21. He's joined by Snake 91 down in P22. He'll be disappointed with that, as will Koke 14. 4th in the points standings. He's going to start plumb last. Awful for him. Possibly making an excellent race for us as we watch yet another one of the fast guys go up through the order, Jimmy.
It's always the best way for it to be. And here we are then, rolling start at Le Mans. Here is Grassa 91 in the L750R, making his way round the Ford chicane. Waiting for the green light to come on. You're going to see the jets go overhead. 3, 2, 1. And away we are then for the final race of the superstars. In the background, there's a spin in the background already. GTP Adam to the inside. What a start by GTP Adam. Oh, off the line very quickly there. I guess the Audi's got the grunt right at the start, taking Grassa 91 and into the Dunlop chicane for the first time. There's carnage in the background. We sort of missed it. I saw a Peugeot go round. Looks like it was TRL Lightning at the back of the field there. James, I missed what happened there. I think you saw maybe.
So I think Lightning got clipped. He was just 180ing off the circuit into the pit lane. And we were thinking, oh, brilliant, a chance for TRL Lightning to not have to worry about coming up through the field. He's going to have to worry about it again this time, but what a great start by Adam, flying off in that Audi. I said he was a danger man to watch out for. Clearly, these futuristic Peugeots did not take any notice. Manu Rodri there in P5, moving his way up through the order. You can see those three Peugeots going into battle behind, but in P2, it remains Linus Stern. Garassa, Fuveros, Matu. Oh, Fuveros, they're going a little bit deep on the chicane. That could allow the Finnish driver Matu in. As we go out on exit, Garassa completely unopposed, but there is Matu going back into the slipstream now. Look at all these penalties. In the lower half of the field, we've got Kenny, Nusini, Surf on Saker as well. Zocchi moves his way up to P9. It's all moving and shaking, but this is the biggest of the mover and shakers potentially going into the second of these chicanes, Jimmy. It's Matu choosing to pull out a little bit, not choosing to make the move here.
Great view then on the top of this Peugeot. If you look at the back of Thierry Fevros, also in a Peugeot L750R in the slipstream now, coming out of the second Mulsanne chicane. A good place to be if we're looking to save a little bit of fuel. Don't worry too much, of course, about your track position right now, but a great start for GTP Adam. He's pulling away at the front of the field, but he is going to be punching the hole through the air and pulling the rest of the field along with him. So it's going to be pretty hard for him to pull away. Mulsanne corner now on the top of Matu 79. Nice and neat and tidy through there. 1, 2, 3 in front of us, and of course behind us, only half a tenth behind, is TRL Manu Rodri. Here is Jim Erosian Fat. Sorry, Erosian Fat from the gym team, I should say. He's now up behind VP Beloff. So close fights all around, and that's pretty much what you're going to see here at Le Mans. It's very hard to break away. Some people hitting 340 kilometers an hour in the slipstream. That is insanely fast.
And remember, they've got to go through that right-hander, maintaining on the accelerator through Indianapolis, then coming through Onage.
Wow.
And that was a very opportunistic / maybe naive move to be attempted there from Azori. In fact, doesn't come off. You can see Yomas and Popsu there exchanging positions as well. The two of them going probably side by side through those corners, but we've got to keep an eye on Azori. In fact, he's got Beloff firstly just ahead of him, secondly alongside him. The question is he going to be in his rear view mirrors once we head to the Porsche curves? Still going side by side. Beloff trying to hold on, but no. Azori and Fat super persistent, and it pays off for him. A scrape along the wall, but he's into P6.
Usually not a place to do a move around there, around the outside of the first Porsche curve, unless you have a very much more grip in your car. And as you see, VP Beloff actually going very wide there on the exit. That might cost him in terms of a penalty. We'll see. Now he's actually under attack from Alexon. He goes up the inside, coming into the 40k. Nice, done and dusted up the inside, but that's going to slow him down coming into the last bit. VP Beloff with the penalty, actually backing up. Alexon was backing up Beloff into Zocchi 88 behind, which goes to show an overtake doesn't just affect you, it affects the cars around that. Here comes Zocchi 88 in the background there. He might get Alexon here as well, coming into the Dunlop curve, turn 1, long right-handed, heavy braking zones. Beloff's going to have the inside here, though. Wow!
Oh!
Up the inside, misses the braking zone completely and absolutely wipes out Alexoni. Wow, that was amateurish at best, I think there, James, is how we describe that. Here's a replay of it.
It's quite simple. It's all exciting and fair and well when you're going into battle with someone, but there are other drivers trying to race, and after a very nice and opportunistic overtake, Alexini is punished by being whacked off the road, and he finds himself all the way down in P14. Thankfully, the AI system delivering these penalties, it recognises, okay, this guy was completely wiped out, definitely not his fault or anything, and so there is no penalty to be served. But he's now going to be looking at the pit stop strategy coming up and thinking, I need to make something happen here. I need to make these moves nice and early, because we're expecting one stops from a lot of these guys, Jimmy.
Yep, one stop is probably going to be the port of call for pit stops, of course. Now, one of the saving graces of Alexoni is he is now in traffic, so he can't save a bit of fuel. One man who cannot save fuel is GTP Adam, who is currently leading the way in that R18. He's actually pulled out a bit of a gap, 1.2 seconds to Grass 91, so we've seen this a couple of times now. So GTP Adam, fairly strong in the race. He always says he's not too quick in practice, not too quick in qualifying. But here he is again, showing, just putting on a clinic in the race, and what better way to do it than to the sound of that very distinct turbo diesel.
Going back to one of those cliches, Jimmy, the points are won on Sunday, not Saturday. Now, admittedly, we have qualifying and the race on the same day, but I think the point still stands. I would rather be a fast, competent racer than a hot lapper, and it shows
I'm
in
neither, so.
but it shows in the point standings. He's got over 2,000 points on his nearest competitor, Fuvaros. Speaking of, he's clear of this battle for P4, Manu Rodri, and Azorian Fat. Manu Rodri's actually picked up a small penalty for cutting the track. It's 0.4 seconds, as you can see on your screens. I'm super impressed by Azorian Fat. Well, as soon as I say that, he picks up a penalty himself. But let's be fair, he's had middling form at best over the last couple of weeks. In and around the top 10, not really looking to challenge for those podiums, and yet brilliant qualifying effort, followed up by a really strong race. He's putting these experienced frontrunners in Manu Rodri under all sorts of pressure.
Yep, I think he's having a good time out there, enjoying the Peugeot, as a lot of the guys are today. Again, did a bit of a slipstream, putting into the back of Manu Rodri.
Save the penalty.
Serving a penalty there. Now, watch here, this is a on-board perspective of the Porsche curve, with cars in front. And this is where drivers get to show their skills through the sections. A very precise couple of corners, and very easy to get it wrong, hit the wall, maybe just lose a little bit of time. Let's see this left-hander here. This is so deceiving, and very easy to run wide there and pick up a penalty. Actually gains a little bit on Manu in front, so a good run through there by Rosie Fat, and actually in doing so, in slowing down, he served the entirety of his penalties. Nothing to worry about now.
This particular camera angle reminds me a lot of the skeleton in the Olympics.
I thought you meant just an actual skeleton there.
Oh yeah, no. I love my biology. Me got great grades at GCSE level, but no, seriously, it's bizarre seeing such a thin car, but it makes a lot of sense. We've seen those cars attempting to take place in long endurance races before as well. Fuvaros though, he's an experienced campaigner, isn't he? He's pretty safe in regards to his country. Of course, reminder, the Nations Cup is the top 3 in each of these countries represented. 30 total. 30 players total going to the regionals from the EMEA region. So 10 countries going, 3 from each country. There you go, got it all across eventually. Fuvaros in a very great position, and an even better position now. Garassa picking up a penalty for going super wide there on the exit. It might be about to get a whole lot worse, so up the inside goes Fuvaros, and that one was not for Jimmy. You can see why Garassa choosing to serve some penalty. Might as well in the slipstream.
Yeah, not a bad idea to do that, of course, because he will lose a little bit of time through the first chicane, but he'll bring it back coming in the slipstream, as you said now, so he's actually taken off half his penalty in that one braking zone. GTP Adam still very slightly improving the gap as time goes on. Looks like actually Fuvaros has turned up the wick a little bit, because he's gaining quite a bit of time in a straight line here. He's got the slipstream and I think the engine mode turned up as well. So maybe looking to close that gap down. Actually gained 0.4 of a second on that straight alone.
Audi got some run. It's doing well. Alexini just got past Yomas 74 there, P10, and certainly if there were anyone in the field that was looking to do a 2-stop, we would have seen them enter the pits now. No one's there, so we're looking at the 1-stops.
It would likely be this lap.
It will likely be this lap, actually, yeah, to be fair. I forget, we're lap 3 of 8, not 4 of 8.
Look, but at the front of the field, can you see this gap? It's just coming down. Say that now, we've gone through, I think, the Mulsanne corner, and Fuvaros has just lost all the time again. So it seems that Fuvaros has the car turned up, but doesn't seem to have the same cornering performance as Adam does, because for a moment, he was only half a second behind our leader, and now he's back down to a second and a half. Of course, he is dragging Garassa 91 behind with him. Matu a little bit too far back for that, but again, here is the on-board perspective. See the difference there? 330 kilometres an hour going into Indy, as opposed to 340 in the slipstream. That's the difference the slipstream has around here. 10 Ks at that sort of speed is a lot of speed.
I'm looking at Adam, and I'm just wondering whether he's just trying to control this race, because one of the great things about that straight, if you're a leader, Jimmy, is if we saw Fuvaros gaining so much time down there, Adam will be aware of that information. He'll see, oh, Fuvaros has turned up the wick behind me, and I'm just wondering whether he's not on the full wick at the moment, and whether he was just turning up on the exit of that corner to say, okay, I need to try and pull out a little bit now, because we can see once again Fuvaros turning up the wick through these corners where the Audi isn't so great. Oh, a little bit of a snap there as well, well held by Fuvaros. That might be a penalty for Adam up ahead. We'll wait and see. But I think he's just trying to control this race, Jimmy, while he has the option to, because it's definitely clear to me that although the Audi's great in a straight line, there's a reason why this Peugeot is the largest selected car across the grid. It's because on all parts of the circuit, it's a great compromise.
It's hard to say, actually. If I were to talk about the Audi, I'd say it's quite strong on traction zones. You're seeing through there, of course, you saw at the start of the race, and you saw coming out of chicane there, the Audi just pulls away, absolutely leaves the Peugeot in its dust. So, an interesting talking point. So we are coming now past the point that we'd see 2 stoppers if there were any. We didn't expect to see any, so we probably going to see people in at the end of this lap before their 1 stop in the race. Now, you might be thinking, how can you have pit strategy if there's only 1 stop? Well, of course, you can save fuel, which means when you come in to fill up the car to go to the end, you don't have to fill up the car as much. So, a great example, if you come in with 2 litres of fuel, come in with 10 litres of fuel, your time is going to be a bit slower if you have to put more fuel in the tank. It's simple timing, I suppose. So, there is a bit of strategy in that alone. But again, we're back to the first chicane. Now, Adam did pick up a penalty, yes, so that is going to affect him, of course. He's going to have to give that up at some point. The question is now, when do you do that? If you're Adam, do you think, right, do I give it up now, let these guys come in and sort of drop back into the pack and become part of a slipstream pack, or do I do what we've seen a lot of drivers do over the course of the last couple of races, leave it to the end of the race, pull over and do it then?
It makes the most sense to me to do it at the end, Jimmy. I'm thinking of that point about you saying, oh, it's great out of traction, and it would explain why the Audi is so good on the straights, because most of these corners are reliant on having good exits, on having good traction out of exits. And I don't see how that Audi is going to effectively lose the penalty without opening itself up to Favaros, to Garassa behind, properly getting into the slipstream and having a proper effort into one of these many overtaking opportunities. Adam just coming around this bottom part of the circuit now through Mulsanne. And behind, there's a great battle going on between P4 and P5, albeit Matu without a penalty, Manu Rodri with, so the Finn safe for now, even if Manu Rodri does get past.
Looks like Manu had to go around the outside of Mulsanne. That's not something that's going to work, I'm afraid, Manu, unless you're very brave. But again, here is the slipstream coming into play, 320 kilometres now, 325, getting up to 330 k's. It might be he's got his engine turned down a little bit. This is the best time to do that when you're in the slipstream and you're not really going to be catching it all. Indy is such a fun corner, the first part anyway. Indianapolis is made up of the right and then the left. So if you come into the right too fast, you then find yourself fast approaching a quite tight left-hander. And I've seen many people go off there, including myself, I've been off there as well, from having too good of a run through the first part. Now again in the slipstream, you've got your second, third and fourth just in view in front. GTB Adam is a bit further up the road. You can see as well, the drivers can also see the penalties on their competitors. So some drivers have actually complained that it's quite distracting to have that on the screen, a big red blob flying around in front of you. I think I'd find that to be the case, actually. I mean, it's good information to have, but whether I want it in front of me dying around is another question.
I'd love it. I mean, it's one thing to see a guy ahead of you. It's a target to chase down, as Matu there goes a little bit wide as well. But to me, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, goodness, if I can catch up to the guy ahead of me and to the guy ahead of them as well with a penalty, that might be 2 positions for free. Now, Adam, interestingly, has stayed out, whereas everyone behind him is coming into the pits.
The fuel is marginal. Look, these guys are pitting with 31, 20. So how has he done that? Has he stayed out? Undercut. If there's going to be a tyre stop, this could be undercut. This could be Adam shooting himself in the foot here. It looks like he has been... Maybe the car's been turned down or something. Has Adam been downplaying his pace? Because it seems at the moment that if he's been going with that sort of pace and leading the race on a lower fuel setting, then he's got absolute tons of speed over these guys. I mean, this is... I did not expect to see Adam stay out. Do you reckon it's another mistake? Do you reckon he's messed up again and missed the pit lane?
I did say it looks like he was controlling this race from the front. Whenever Favaros got within that second, boop, up the fuel mixture a little, pull out a little, maintain it at the 1 second to 2 second gap.
Well, whatever happens now, this lap is crucial.
Oh, for
Adam. He needs
this is a race winner or loser at this stage.
He needs to nail this, because the other guys, if they have changed tyres, and I think the majority of them have, they're going to be a lot quicker. They're going to be on fresh tyres, even with more fuel in the tank. Round here, tyre wear does make a difference. You think, oh, Jimmy, it's just a couple of straights. But again, we mentioned traction, mentioned things like the Porsche curves, a lot of time to be had then. You can see in the background the snake of cars and just the distance visualised. That's what 18 seconds looks like around here. The cars in the background are just a blur.
Now, Manu Rodri has found himself in a very interesting position, because he's actually jumped Favaros and Garassa in the pits.
And Matu, look where Matu is compared to him.
Matu as well, yeah.
They were together when they came in.
They were. But I'm thinking that Manu Rodri's going to pull a very similar situation to Colque back at Bathurst, where he's under-fueled a little bit. And so it means that he's gaining the pit stop initially. But when it comes to the long haul, he's going to have to do a lot of fuel saving. Matu here just moving his way past Papunku in that Toyota. That's an overtake he needed to do, although look at that, picking up a 1.1 second penalty. He didn't need that. And now trying to circumvent Fonseca as well. Circumseca, there we go, it's a real tongue twister. He's passed into P10, but goodness me, a whopping 1.1 seconds added there.
I was going to say that even if you are now in the slipstream, you're still putting yourself in traffic. You're putting yourself in a situation where you have to overtake people to make your strategy work, and the people you're going to overtake aren't usually willing to let you by.
No.
It's the whole point of a race, of course. They're going to try and make things as difficult as possible for you. So you're putting a lot of confidence in your ability to overtake around here. At the front of the field, I'm noticing that Adam has actually increased his gap by about a second since the last time we checked. So he really is putting in a decent time. Just looking at his sectors right now, they seem to be okay from what I can see. Here is GTP Adam. So the big story now is whether Adam will come out the pits still the leader, making the way through the Porsche curves again. So important that this lap is quick. The penalty is not going to help. He goes out wide as he can go anyway on the last part of the curves. We should see him now dart into the pit lane, which is just to the right-hand side. Here he comes in. Yes, not surprisingly. Again, pit entry here can be pretty important as well.
How much fuel was he on?
We'll see. We saw 30, 28. He was an 80. He still had.
Yeah, he had stuff.
I think he might have been able to go around again based on that. But anyway, in the pits he comes. So let's see how this works out. We've got Yomas behind, 20 seconds behind at the moment, or there or thereabouts. Adam in the pit lane at the moment, just getting his service on, or just coming in now. Here he is. So it'll be tyres going on. Let's have a look. Yep, tyres going on. A little bit of fuel in there as well as his pit crew work feverishly to get that thing out as quick as possible. He is losing places. 9th.
Surely that's...
10th.
No.
11th.
No, surely that's not right.
No, here he is. Sorry, he's
here
out.
He is,
he's
yeah.
out in 3rd place there with the penalty, out in 4th place. So, as expected... Oh, although saying that...
There's Manu Rodri.
There's Manu. Where is Garassi? He was the... he was the one that he was fighting. He's now down in 9th place. So there's been a big mix-up in the field here. Looks like some of the guys that have... No, Tijani hasn't stopped.
Tijani, Atho and Yomas have all gone round for another rotation.
Wow, okay, so people going for a very... It's going to be a very short pit stop. But the thing is now, even though that he's in, let's say, Tijani and Atho and Yomas are now high up the field, this still leaves Adam as the leader, essentially. These guys have got to come into the pits. He's only 3 seconds off the top, so...
He's net lead.
Actually, a master stroke there by Adam, still keeping the lead. But now, he has to now try and get round GTA Tijani, and the big, I guess the important factor to put in now is the guys behind him all have penalties.
Yeah.
And they're more than his.
True. I'm looking at Favaros as a potential cat amongst the pigeons there, though, because he's not only fast, but he's not got a penalty as well.
You see the Tijani there just starting to pull away from Adam. That's what we call the switch there. Just whoop, off we go.
That's what I'm convinced Adam was doing in that first stint. Just saving fuel. Oh, someone's a second behind me. Whoop. And then once that second lead is re-established, put it back down again. To be fair to Tijani, he is maintaining ahead of Adam, and this is only going to hurt his race. That dirty air going to be scrubbing off on the tyres. Finally, Adam forced to the outside here. Tijani's still on the inside. And Tijani starting to pull ahead. Look at this.
Audi just hasn't got the pace
no.
of the straight line. I think Adam is being forced to save a bit of fuel, but watching the braking zone, watch him close up again. Nice and easy through here. Tijani really harrying that thing through Mulsanne corner. But look at the traction of the Audi. Look, nice and easy.
Wow.
Goodbye. That's what traction looks like.
Goodness me, he's gone. He's just
but
he
now
is
look.
checked out.
Now look, he comes back in again. Here comes the slipstream. Speed differential is nearly 10 kilometers an hour coming into Indianapolis. Not going to be anywhere for Tijani to go at this point, so just slot in behind, I imagine. But Adam still has to serve this penalty, or he might not choose to yet, but he's got to serve it before the end of the race. Big thing is now is that Tijani's holding up Manu Rodri, who's probably going to be Adam's big competitor for the end of this race.
I'm looking at Favaros.
Well, Fiveros is there in the background. But
He's still there. He's right behind Manny Rodri, to be fair.
He is without a penalty as well, so that's actually a good spot.
There is Manny Rodri, 2 seconds penalty. He's now battling with Tijani, going around the outside of Tijani before they hit the Porsche curves. That's a properly solid move. And here comes Fiveros now. Oh, he's been held up massively by Tijani, unfortunately for the Hungarian. Really bad timing, just going into the Corvette curves now.
That's what bad tyres look like. Those are 6-lap-old tyres. Look at him struggle to get that around. It always seems that Martin is trying to pull some sort of complex strategy, and I've never really seen it work. It always seems to bite him at the end.
He's still going!
Is he going to no-stop this?
Okay, whoa.
Is that a possibility?
Yomas, Atho, are they still going round?
They're still going round. Could this be a no-stop? I'm not even sure that's possible or not.
No-stop?
We'll see. If not, they'll be diving in on the last lap for a splash.
It's lap 7. Why would you leave it this long if you're not going to no-stop? That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
The only thing I can think of is that really you have a very short final stop and don't take tyres, but then why would you stop at all in that case? But look at the difference here. You've got Fiveros being held up savagely by Tijani. Of course, I say held up. Tijani has no obligation to get out of the way. He is fighting for position, so he's going to stay there, park his Peugeot on the apex as much as he can. And the thing is, that 908,
that's
look how wide he is.
That's got to be a penalty, surely.
That's how much he's struggling now. The front tyres will just be pushing, he'll be turning the wheel, nothing will be happening, and there it is, the 0.7 penalty.
Jimmy, I like reading body language of cars. That is not the body language of someone who still has to stop in this race. That is the body language of someone who's driving to score as many points as he can in this race. Because if someone did have to stop, there is literally no reason. As behind there, is that a Snake and Garassa going in together? Yeah, Snake comes out for now, just defends. There's no reason why. Actually, Garassa now ahead on exit.
Look at this.
I keep on deviating away from my point. There's no reason whatsoever why you would hold up your own race if you were going to stop again, or if you had to stop once.
We'll see next lap, won't we? Or the end of this lap, and here you are, your top 3, all in the same shot. This always seems to happen at them on GTP Adam now right on the back of RCF, who's so, but he actually touched him there, didn't quite pull out in enough time. He's lost all his momentum, and might pick up more of a penalty there for ramming the back of Zocchi there, sorry, RC Atho, apologies. Coming down to the Mulsanne corner, again, this is where we've seen the Audi pounce. The traction of this thing coming out of the Mulsanne corner is absolutely insane. Wow! Looks like Adam knows it as well, and still with a side. Look at that difference there. He's going to suffer a bit on the straight line, I think, towards the end, but look, just pulling past like it's absolutely nothing. Now on the slipstream of Yomas in front, but the RC Atho in the Peugeot is going to have the superior top-end speed. No, looks like Adam's going to hold it, and now he's going to have Yomas 74 set in his sights. And if Yomas doesn't pit, this is your battle for the lead, battle for the win right here. Look at the difference in cornering speed there from the Audi.
We had a brilliant potential battle on at Saint-Croix where Yomas thought he was going to go for an alternative strategy to Adam. Now, it's a very different situation. Adam, on that one-stop strategy against a no-stop strategy, we think, has come out with the trumps, but it still could be a last laugh for Yomas, for Atho. If they are on a no-stop, they've only got 1.25 laps left to maintain this position. Even though they're not going to win the race, it could be a masterstroke.
We'll see. We'll find out very shortly.
Yes.
As we see now, GTP Adam is... If TRL Fiveros can't get up there ASAP, that's going to be an unimposed victory, I think, for GTP Adam. But we'll have a look. Let's see what Yomas does. So here he comes, coming up to the pit lane entrance. Will he take that Peugeot into the pit lane? He does not. A no-stop strategy.
Wow.
Wow, that is insane. So basically, they've been running around the entire race with their fuel mixture as low as they can go, short-shifting down the straight, slipstreaming, doing as much as they possibly can just to keep things nice and easy.
That's incredible. We heard one stop as there goes Fiveros easing past Atho there into P3, I should say. Fiveros really should be making his way past into P2 as well with Yomas. That's insane though. That's real commitment from these drivers. I noticed Surf and Seika, Lightning, Papungu. Oh my goodness, Lightning, considering how far up he was, imagine if he'd been able to do the no stop from here. That would have been huge.
Fiveros right on the back, sorry James, of Yomas coming out of Touch Rouge. And now this is for position. These guys are not going to be... Fuvros has pitted. He has better tyres, probably a bit more fuel to play with. RCFO was dispatched, so now Yomas trying to hold on to second place. TRL Fuvros will go to the inside here, coming down to the first Mulsanne chicane. Looks like it's going to be a done deal here, but that straight line speed of a 908 is just superior, even to the more modern concept of 750. And then Fuvros heavy on the brakes to the inside.
Wow.
Yomas will not be able to defend that, I don't think. But now he's in the slipstream.
Wow! What a
Fuvros.
save!
Fuvros all kind of sideways there. That guy is definitely not running traction control. And here we are now. The roles are reversed. Yomas is now going to have the slipstream coming up to the second chicane.
That's crazy. What a great save from Fuvros. But like you say, so much is the traction advantage that he can make that save, and he's still ahead, heading into the second chicane now. Still he goes. Yomas will probably have to now lose Fuvros simply because of the exit differences, I should say. They've got to more watch out behind to Manu Rodri. They'll be trying to use Fuvros, though, to keep ahead of the Spaniard and indeed Garassa 91 behind there in P6. Watch out for these penalties near the end, though, because we're starting to come to this conclusion, Jimmy, that they're all still so close. Now, those penalties could see a flurry of position changes. Now, Yomas, Atho, Manu Rodri's with them, but he's got 2.3 seconds to ditch as well.
Yomas is the cork in the bottle now. He's going to be so much slower through the Porsche curves. Here comes Manu Rodri making a move on RC Athu in the last lap then. Comes round the outside, drives past him. He's still got 2.3 seconds to make up. Will he try and vault Yomas in front as well? Yomas is the one that has the most to lose in the situation. He pretty much has a third place if he can just hold on to the end. RC Athu looks to the inside of Manu Rodri. Garassa as well coming back through in sixth place. Looks to the outside of the left of Indy. Not a move we see now coming up to Arnage. Slowest corner on the circuit. Will he ever go into here? Oh, runs into the back of RCF. Gives him a little cheeky tap just to let him know he's there. And now back on the throttle. Cars a bit sideways out of their tyres wearing as well, of course. Yomas, I think, might have done enough. Here comes Garassa on the way past then. Past RC Afo.
Easy.
Up into fifth position. Manu Rodri just in front now. Has a bigger penalty though, so it's likely that Garassa will finish ahead of him. Now, this is where Yomas is going to struggle. His tyres are now 8 laps old, essentially, compared to the fresher tyres of the cars behind. I think he's got a big enough gap to pull this to the end. Garassa not looking like he can get back past Manu Rodri. But here it is, GTP Adam again putting on a dominant display in the Nations Cup in the Audi R18. Comes through the full chicane for the last time, putting on an absolute clinic, and it's another win for our Nations Cup point leader, GTP Adam. What a race for him.
3 top 24 superstar race wins in a row. Absolutely flawless at the end of the season. Fuvros comes home second. Yomas on a no-stop comes home third. Outstanding effort from the Frenchman at his home track. Manu Rodri on track unbelievably is able to take home P4 with Garassa fifth from pole. It's then Atho on the no-stop, Azorian Fat, Matu, Tijni on a no-stop, and Alexini rounding out your top 10. Big names outside of there. Snake, of course, poor qualifying down in P11. Beloff down there in P13. And for poor Lightning, well, the complete opposite of Adam there. He's had a rotten, miserable end to the season.
He has, but here's one man who no doubt have a big old smile on his face. He takes 9,405 points, cementing him at the top of the Nations Cup ranking. GTP Adam showing us just why he is the points leader and one definitely to look out for, hopefully, in the regional finals.
I think it is all but confirmed, Jimmy. I think it is all but confirmed. Outstanding drive. And like you say, in the lone Audi, fantastic stuff. So here is your classified results then. Adam from Fuvros, from Yomas. Unfortunately, one retirement in the form of Koke, I think starting last. It was never going to go well. I am curious to see the full debrief of what happened to Lightning at the very start there. I think he should be safe. Regardless, he's done a lot of his work early season. And in fact, as we close out this broadcast here, we'll go through why it's looking better and better for him. Any other standout performances for you, Jimmy, in that field?
It's going to have to be Yomas. Yomas, fantastic strategy. We couldn't foresee the no-stop, yet he made it work with tyres that must have been terrible to drive on. No fuel stop in there, and still only managed to finish 7 seconds behind our leader. I think a fantastic race from him.
I think anybody who managed to no-stop, we were told categorically, one stop will be the way. There's no need to worry about a two-stop thanks to the nature of the circuit. no stop is something pretty special. You know that when somebody goes for an even more aggressive strategy than Adam, that it's a risky one. It's paid off handsomely though. And for those Frenchmen, I'm looking at the point standings again. So Atho, P6, Snake won't be too happy, but again 11th, not the worst case scenario. Yomas down in P8. Those 3 Frenchmen have finished up in the order. I think we may very well have France's 3. Of course, everything still to be confirmed. That then brings us to the end of the EMEA region, or the Nations Cup at least anyway. We still have the Manufacturers Series to go. We, of course, still have the Americas versions of those races to go as well. So all of these broadcasts will be going up at the same time on YouTube. So whether you've just come here as the last one or whether this is your first one, more action to look forward to. And again, we don't have the definitive list just yet of who is going up, availability, eligibility, making sure we go through the fringe players as well. Polyphony has got all of that down, and all that information will be available both on Gran Turismo Sport in-game and gran-turismo.com. Speaking of which, keep an eye on there and Gran Turismo's social media channels, because we have news coming of forthcoming events, Jimmy. We have, so I've heard, potentially another Gran Turismo World Tour event coming before the regionals. Keep a sneaky peek out for that one. But we also have the pleasure today of announcing the location of the first of our regional finals, the Asia-Oceania region. And those players have got a trip that I am certainly envious of. They are going to be going to Japan itself for the regional finals there. So excited for those guys. I'm sure they're going to have a great time, especially if they win in the end, Jimmy. Goodness me. Of course, more racing action to come. As I say, Americas, Nations Cup, Manufacturers Cup, we've still got tonight to record the Manufacturers Cup for the EMEA region. And part and parcel, actually, of still trying to figure out the totting up of the scores is we have other races going on in round 10, which aren't Superstars races. So, again, all that information coming to you very soon. And we'd like to actually give a small reminder as well that if you've gotten bored of us too, if you don't like English anymore...
Not possible.
Yeah. If you like a bit of Spanish flair, then be sure to check out the Spanish versions of these broadcasts. Our good friend Lucas Ordonez, the first winner actually of the GT Academy 10 years ago. He's on commentary there. He also picked up a podium at Le Mans 24-hour himself. So plenty of credentials, a lot more than myself personally, to take you through the action there. It's something to look forward to. It's something just to try out, just to see whether you like a bit of Spanish flavour in your commentary. Unfortunately for us on commentary, for this broadcast at least, it is time to end. If you have joined us for the last broadcast here as opposed to the first, thank you so much for joining us throughout all 3 seasons, and thank you for sticking with us as we get these full broadcasts for you, these full live races underway. There will be plenty more where that came from. A final thank you from everyone backstage. Thank you to Mr. Jimmy Broadbent. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it's a very warm goodbye.